Hey guys, welcome to Combustion Junction. I am Steve. This is the Honda CM400T Cafe Racer project. If you've been keeping up with the build, welcome back. If this is your first time here, welcome. Check out the predecessors to this, how it came to be thus far, and check out some of my other stuff that I got going on. I'll put some links up at the end of this, and if you want to subscribe, that would be great as well. So I took a little bit of time off from the build, a couple different reasons. One was just to get the garage sort of cleaned up. You start taking on projects and doing stuff and things sort of get out of hand, and I needed to take a step back and just sort of get things in a little bit more of a better place in terms of organization and stuff. And secondly, I wanted to sort of concentrate on exactly what I want to do with the brand of this channel and make sure I was in the right start before I got too ahead of myself. And with that, check out my new logo. Cool, so where we left off with the bike before, the major subframe modifications have been done. The electronics tray for under the seat is roughly almost finished. I still have to fab in some seat mounts, which will be coming up soon, and I got the engine installed. And if you have been keeping up, you know that it's an engine that didn't come with the bike. The other one is shelved for now until I can totally crack it open and see what's up. But the 450 is in and it's looking great. So I'm on my way to now getting it started. There's a few little things I want to get done before I actually turn the key and get done, and one of those, which is what I'm going to do today, is the exhaust stuff. So when I got the bike, I shortly discovered that I had no headers, no mufflers, no part of the exhaust system whatsoever. So I was faced with either ordering something that would just fit the bike, like a Mac custom exhaust, for probably more than I've spent on the entire bike to begin with, so I didn't want to go that route. So I decided to just sort of check out classifieds and see if I could come up with something custom. One thing I did find, and it was really near me, so I sort of jumped on it, was a guy was selling he replaced the exhaust on his early 80s CB750. So I thought I'd be able to take those components, and they're in okay shape. That's one of the mufflers. It has no baffling in it whatsoever, so it is a wide open trumpet. It was a 4-2 setup, so I have two of these guys and the four of these in various degrees of condition. My original thought was that I'd be able to do some kind of 2-into-1, actually using, finding, because they all are slightly different shapes depending on where they were on the original engine. I was trying to come up with a 2-into-1 solution without too much modification, relative to modifying. I didn't like the look of that muffler, and I didn't want to, and even if it kind of worked, then I'd have to deal with baffling and everything else. So when I found the 450 motor for sale that's in the bike, it had those short little headers attached. And the other part, I should back up and say, the other problem with this setup is that the flanges or the mounting hardware for the CB750 and other CB motorcycles that I owned didn't exactly fit the clamp-on hardware. Most bikes that I had dealt with in the past has a tiny little ring like this, and then there's two shims that sort of help lock everything into place. The reason I jumped on that 450 motor when I got it is because it had these little tiny guys, and then what it also has is the correct hardware. So if you could see, it's a much wider collar with a lip at the end, and that's just something I didn't want to have to get into, and I didn't know if I went the other route with the shims, if the shims are a different size and what fits, and anyway, it's just like people were asking a ridiculous amount of money for old Honda shims that I could find. So I jumped on the 450 motor, got these headers, which at least gives me the proper starting point for the mount. So what I think I'm going to do is use these with these and sort of come up with something like that. Slice it to suit the shape of the bike. Do that on both sides. And then for mufflers, I got a pair of these on eBay, just straight through, a little bit of dampening in there, really nice black color, adjustable mounts, and they pretty much fit nicely on the end of my pipe. There's a little bit of looseness, but I'll probably end up slitting them and welding them or putting clamps or something. Everything is getting pipe wrapped anyway, so regardless of joints or mismatching chrome or color or anything, that's all going to be a moot point. So let's get these on the bike. Let's see if we can't cut the other one to get some cool lines going and get these attached somehow. And yeah, let me set up for that. So what I have over here, I've just got the final pipe just sort of sitting there. I'm using the clamp, and I'm actually using one of the bolt hole for what was the passenger foot peg left on there. And just at a glance, kind of go right there. If that comes down sort of there, you can kind of see things are lining up a little bit. So what I'm looking to do is keep this one as is, cut this one so that it comes down under the foot peg, sort of give it a mark there-ish, and then ideally what'll happen is, if I can pan this over this way, is it'll just sort of do a nice straight, clean, flat run. Sort of do a nice, clean, straight, flat run. If I could tilt that down a little bit, right there. That's what I'm looking to do. Keep it tight into the thing. Clear the foot peg is really my only clearance issue, and then you can see where that one and that one is. Now, if you look up top. The actual, I'm glad I'm doing it this way, because this one, which is off the CB, the bend is not as extreme as that one. So on the bottom part, this would have ended up slanting more towards the ground to get the look. So I'm actually, I think I'm on the right track. I'm gonna get a mark going about right here. Push that in a little bit so it just comes up underneath there. Cut that, tack it together, and then see where this guy stands. But that's kind of what I'm looking to do right there. All right, let me get this marked and get it cut, and then I'll show you what I got. So after a few different rounds of cutting and test fitting, I think I'm where I want to be. I have. You can see my, I'm just using this little jack that I've got on the back of the bike to hold that up. That's kind of roughly in place. I'm actually kind of really digging that parallel line that's created. If that guy sits in there and I can kind of come up under there, that is pretty much the line I was going for. I've got a couple of tacks on there that I've already had to break a couple of times, but I think I'm in the right place. I'm gonna get these tacked up for the last time, hopefully, and do the other side. Okay, so tacked into place, tightened up, really happy with how this is working out. The other thing I wanted to sort of mention was in these pipes from the factory, there's an inner pipe and an outer pipe. Now, because this one was cut off, you could see the inner one left over inside, and where I cut this one off, there was also the piece left in there. So what I did is I actually welded the outside together, and then if I can, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to take it off because it's nicely placed there now. Where the inner pipe was sticking out here at the end, I actually just pushed it to one side where it wanted to go, and I tack welded it in place so that there would be no rattle in here. It's all very tight. If these are a little offset, I'm okay with that because it creates a little bit of baffling, which I'm sure we've taken away tons more than we can ever possibly put back. The other sort of happy mistake of that is because I did a little bit of a weld around the edge of that, it actually increased the diameter just to make this guy go on really nice and snug. So instead of it being a little floopy and wobbly, it's actually, it gave me the assistance to be able to shove it on very nicely and then just fine tune it with little moves. But I couldn't find the original short bolts for the passenger pegs, but these are sitting in there. This is hanging on it, and quite frankly, like right now, even unfinished, it's really, really solid. So I'm going to just take the wire wheel, take a little bit of the metal off that, and I think I'm just going to finish weld. I'm going to make this one solid piece that attaches to the header, and then I'm kind of digging this look. I don't know if you can see it. It runs parallel to the frame that comes out. It lands on the last hole, and it holds it there quite nicely. I think I'm gonna leave that as my mount. I'm gonna leave that well enough alone, and then finish weld my seam, finish weld my muffler on, and then I'm going to wrap down here and cover that seam, and then just put a band on there. Before that, I'm gonna do the other side. Then we'll take a look from the back, from the front, and make sure everything is okay. There are my two guys right there. This one is fully welded. They're both fully welded. This one I've hit with the flapper here and a little bit on this joint just to knock down the high points. But ultimately it's all gonna get wrapped, so you won't really see anything anyway. I just wanted to hit it a little bit just to make sure there was no pinholes or anything. There's the second guy. They're almost an exact replica of each other, as good as the home mechanic I think can do. And yeah, so I'll hit this with the flapper, get it on, and have a look. So there you go, guys. Mufflers are on, welded, ground down, waiting for the wrap. I'm gonna hold off on that until after I get it started to make sure there's no issues that I would have to unwrap them for, or re-weld, or fix, or move, or like I still got the brake pedal to go on here, although I'm pretty sure it's gonna clear. I don't have it in my possession right now, so I have to wait and see on that. But I'm totally happy. They look great. They're solid, they're clean, they're simple. Exactly the look I was going for on this bike. I think I'm going to deal with the front end next time, get the controls on, get some of that preliminary wiring in, as well as address lowering the front end, how I'm gonna do it, my thought process, and the clip-ons and the headlight and all that stuff. So if you're digging this, please subscribe, please give me a like. Yeah, and I will hopefully see you real soon. Cheers.